In my last video, I mentioned that I'm creating my own creature collecting world inspired by the love of my life, Pokemon. A major component of the monster taming genre is typing or elements. Because there are going to be a lot of creatures in my world, it's good to have a way to divide and categorize them. Recently, I did this new favorite Pokemon picker thing, and I really like how people can figure out their favorite Pokemon of each type. In Pokemon, there are also trainers who specialize in a certain type, and I really like that too. For my world, I like the idea that if someone has an all water-based team, that it would give them a small boost to represent that they're an expert and that they specialize in a certain type. This would also make up for the fact that it is not well-rounded and doesn't have really good coverage. Typing is also a good way to introduce a bit of strategy. Having types be strong and weak against one another will encourage people to carry a variety of creatures if they want to cover for their weaknesses. Overall, I like how typing gives a simple understanding to people. Water beats fire, fire beats grass, grass beats water. It's really intuitive and you don't get so bogged down on the details. So I decided I want my creature collector to have typings. Great! How many should I include? What types should I have? Well, as far as how many, I kind of want to shoot for about 10 to 20 types. Any less and I think there would be too little variety. Any more and it might be hard to keep track of, and maybe some types will end up being redundant. The overall goal is to have as few types as we need while still being able to account for as a wide variety of potential creature designs as possible. So the next question is, what types do we include? Because I'm most familiar with Pokemon, I decided to start with their type list and cut down from there. The first two types that I've always felt are a bit odd are the dragon and bug type. These two types pretty much are species of creatures. It's not like we have a mammal or a reptile type, so it's quite odd for bug and dragon to have their own. And just to clarify, I don't hate bug or dragon Pokemon, they're actually some of my favorite Pokemon. But their typing just seems out of place when we look at all the other types that exist and all the species types that don't exist. Now, let's take a look at the ground and rock type. I always found these two types kind of confusing. As a kid, I didn't even realize that they were separate types. I thought it was two different names for the same type. Because their two themes have so much overlap, and to reduce redundancy, I think it's best to combine them into the singular Earth typing. Earth is a very common element in most other worlds, so it just makes sense. Speaking of which, it seems obvious to include the traditional elements for our types as well. So the elements such as Earth, Air, Water, Fire, Lightning, Metal, and Ice. Lightning, Metal, and Ice may not be traditional typings, but I feel that they're different enough, and they're kind of mentioned in Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I'm counting it. Plant/nature is also kind of an element that is typically included in Earth, but they cover enough different themes that I really want them to have their own typing. For Lightning, we'll rename it to Electric, since I think it'll better include the lightning/thunder themes, as well as electricity for things like batteries, machines, and energy. So let's compare it back to the Pokemon typing list. We now have adopted the following types: water, fire, ice, and electric. Ground and rock as the singular earth type, grass as the plant type, steel as the metal type, and the flying as the air type. Pretty standard as far as elemental typings go, but I don't want my Pawpaws to only be referring to elemental powers. We're also going to need to adopt some more abstract types as well. So let's look at the remaining Pokemon types. We have normal, poison, ghost, psychic, fighting, fairy, and dark. Normal is another type I never really liked. It always gave off the feeling of basic or not special. Not that the Pokemon that are of the normal type are that, it's just that the typing overall gives that kind of label. I don't want any of my creatures to give off that kind of feel, so that type is not going to be incorporated. Poison is a good type. It incorporates themes of venom, toxins, pollution, and corruption, so it covers a good array. The name is perfect too, so I'll be adopting it for my world. The ghost type I will be adapting to the spirit type. I love the spirit world in Avatar, and I also have a strong fondness for yokai and that kind of spirit and myth related things. A lot of my designs will be drawing inspiration from these things, so it's good to have this type to cast them under. While I do like the psychic type, it has a bit too much of an emphasis on mind powers. a theme I would much rather push is magic, the element associated with wizards, witchcraft, fairies, and miracles. The magic type will be kind of a blend of psychic and the fairy type as we know it in Pokemon. To me, the fighting type was always kind of the opposite of the psychic type, brains versus bronze kind of thing. And I like that, but the fighting type as a whole felt a little weird since all Pokemon battle and fight. But I do like the underlying theme of the typing. It refers to themes of physical force and also various martial art disciplines. For my world, I'll be modifying the fighting type as the impact type. The impact type focuses on the before mentioned themes, physicalness and discipline, as well as something I like to call the protagonist energy or hero trait. It basically refers to how typical protagonists of shonen animes are typically really stubborn and headstrong, but they lean into it and always just put it all on the line to fight for what they think is right. I feel like including this aspect to the impact type better helps it cover a wider range of designs. While I am satisfied with the impact type's naming, this is a typing that I had the most trouble with in regards to naming. I also thought of names like the power or strength types, but power is a little too similar to Pow Pow, and I didn't want strength to imply strong. So this doesn't just go for this type, but I'm also open to all kind of variations on names for all the types I've listed so far, since I am just coming up with them by myself. A typing that I think that is missing for Pokemon is the Cosmic type. There's a lot of Pokemon that fall under the theme of space, such as Clefairy, Minior, or Deoxys, that I think would have really benefited from a type like this, which is why I'm deciding to add it to my list of typings. Lastly, we have the Fairy and Dark type, or probably better understood as the Light and Dark type. Now, these are actually the two toughest types for me to adapt. These two types are a very common element in creature collecting worlds, and it seems kind of obvious to include them as is, but I'm really hesitant to do so. Currently, I don't really like how the Light and Dark types strongly imply good versus evil. I don't want my types to bake in a personality to my creatures. They should all have a different personality even under the same typing. My current plan is to actually adapt them as the Day type and Night type. I feel like these two typings are a bit more generalized and don't as strongly imply themes of good versus evil. I still want to include the themes of good and evil, I just don't want it at the forefront of those typings, and I think Day and Night types do that well. But I'm not super satisfied with the two typings. Day and Night may be a little too vague, while Light and Dark are so easy to understand, which is why they are often included in many creature collectors. Also, the plan is for the Day type to pretty much cover most normal or miscellaneous creatures that may not belong to a particular type. But I'm worried this might cause an oversaturation of the Day type and its relation to the Night type will become skewed, since the Day type would also be accounting for Light and Fairy type designs. For now, I will have the Day and Night type in my creature collector. However, I am still really open to renaming them or maybe even splitting the typings into other types so that things are better categorized and clear. As I make more designs, I think the answers will become more clear on what types I need or don't need. For the time being, those are the 15 typings for my creature collector. There actually is one more secret type, but I will speak more on that in the future. Also, since I'm still kind of consolidating the types, I haven't really worked out weaknesses, resistances, and things of that sort. Those will be much more down the line. As I said before, nothing is set in stone, and I would be more than happy to add or remove typings as I feel fit. I just want to do my best and get it as right as I can the first time around. Some honorable mentions for typings that I thought about including are the Primal type, Mech type, Glitter type, Angel type, Demon type, Lucky type, and the Curse type. I'm actually particularly fond of the Demon and Lucky type just because I tend to like creatures related to demons or fortunes. But I feel like they may be way too particular or overlap too much with the other themes. We have now laid down the foundations of typings, a big step in the progress of Pow Pow World, my creature collector. In my next Pow Pow related video, we will finally be looking at some Pow Pow designs, the collectible critters of my world. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. And to add to that, if you have any other critter collecting worlds you enjoy, feel free to suggest it to me. I love seeing people build their own world and how they are unique and different. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.